And I said, Ron, please shoot it. I think we've earned it. I said, I'm a fan as well as the writer of this episode. Just shoot it. It's the last moment. You can always cut it out.
Mhm.
And the moment they edited it, and he came to my office a second time, and he said, I was wrong.
Okay, so I think my favorite title of anything you've ever had a hand in is The Trials and Tribulations of a Trailer Trash Housewife. And that got shortened a little bit to Blues for Willadine, right? And
I regret that to this day that I allowed them to change the title of that film because
oh,
I love that title too.
it's such a good title. Tell us about that. It's domestic violence and, again, some really difficult issues, but told through a humorous lens.
Well, I had a boyfriend who Ben, who had a sister who was involved in a horrible, horrible situation in Oklahoma. She's a lot younger than my character Willadine, but when she left this marriage with her 1 year old son and went back to live with Ben's parents, the abusive ex kidnapped her, who ironically was the preacher's kid
Mhm.
and the preacher's son, and he kidnapped her. And when the police found them, he was holding his wife at gunpoint by this lake or this river, and the baby was in the car seat in the car, and a sharpshooting cop killed him. It turned out the gun wasn't even loaded, but he was
Mhm.
just being this awful bully. And he lost his life, and she became a big activist. And I was really inspired by her and her journey. And this character started speaking to me. I know it makes me sound a little bit nuts, but I wrote the play This Side of Crazy, and I always say I don't know which side I'm on. I hop from one side to the other. But this character started speaking to me, and I do think that there was a voice or a collective voice maybe of women who needed this story to be told. And Beth Grant just slayed that
Mhm.
role. I mean, one of my favorite performances of anything I've ever written, and of course the dream cast with Octavia Spencer. I mean, I was working with Octavia before she became famous and won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And she came back and did the movie after she filmed The Help. So just like sissies, I still get letters from women who I've had women say, I left my husband because of your film. So,
Wow.
so just exposing it. But the one thing about that film that and the play, it was really truly the hardest thing I ever wrote because psychologically, at first, I couldn't understand it. And once
Mhm.
I understood and did my research, and anybody aspiring writer out there, if you don't understand your characters and the psychology, then you have not earned the right to write them. And
Mhm.
once I understood that, and it was honestly, it was through an episode of Oprah. I watched all these women who many of them were in prison, having killed their husbands, and I understood that cycle of abuse and then the makeup, and they lived for the makeup, and it was always someone with low self-esteem. And so sometimes they would even incite the violence so that they could be touched and loved.
Mhm.
And when I got that, then I understood Willadine's journey.
Did you get it through your head that I don't want to know?
Well, tough shit. Now it's time you need to listen to me because you don't went out and got yourself a job at the Super Walmart.
And this is a small town and JD gonna find out. He gonna be delivering shit out of you for that. Or for the next thing, or the next thing, or the next thing, or the next thing. Unless you do something like shoot his veins with a syringe full of air.
I was here waiting for you all night after cooking your favorite supper. Scraping together every dime I could to buy your stupid steak while you was doing what you was doing with her.
I had trouble down outside of my head, so you must have dozed off and had a dream or was hallucinating. As you just gone insane and have gone off your rocker. Now, I'm going to bed now because I've been working hard all day and I'm dog tired. And I better never, ever hear another word about this, if you know what's good for you. You understand? You understand me, woman? Look at me when I'm talking to you. You didn't see shit.
One of the things that I've always really loved about you as a writer is that you understand different mediums, and I'm mostly a live performer, so I've done a lot of stage work, a lot of singing. I have a classical music background, but so much of on-stage timing and the way you write a play is different than the way you write a movie scene or the way you write a TV episode. But you can do all of this and you do it so well, and the timing is always there for the characters, and you can see that in the dialogue. It's just, and hear it in the dialogue, and the actors are so natural, and that's because the material they're working with is so good. So Yellow, you wrote a little bit later, and you had been doing, you know, movies and TV and plays, and then you were able to come back to the stage with this, and it's such a heavy show, and starts funny, but then it's like you get into it and you're like, wow, that's just so powerful. So what was the inspiration for Yellow, and how did that come about?
It, you know, it's interesting because I can't tell everything because there are some secrets that I have that I don't want to betray those that I was inspired by, but it was truly that affair that I knew about. And then it was three different stories, actually. One actually was a Tennessee influence. So there was the affair, put that away, you know, that I knew about, that the husband never knew about to this day. And then there was the son, who I was like, how do you fish out this affair? And then I remember my good friend Greg Julian, who had this disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis, where he got a liver transplant. I knew a lot about that because I was actually a match. I could have given him half of my liver, but thankfully he was able to get a cadaver liver, and he's still doing very, very well. So that was part of it. And then my good friend Kendall Moore took his life, and it was just devastating to me. And one of the things that influenced the character of Kendall in the play was I looked at my friend's childhood, and he was, I believe his family was Church of Christ, and right before he died, he was having some financial issues because the real estate market had crashed. And he called his mom and asked to speak to his dad to get a loan, just a Band-Aid on his finances. And she said, "You've never been anything but an embarrassment to us." And he had gone through, I mean, he loved sissies, and his favorite character I ever wrote was Juanita in Sordid Lives. And I just made a commitment to Kendall that I was going to retell his story and name a character after him. And so that's where Kendall came from. And then I just blended them all. And it was so interesting, Alan, because I wasn't expecting to write that play, but then I heard something of the affair, some new information after 22 years. And I was like, oh my God. And I started playing the what if game. And one day I just started writing. And it's the one play, I teach that play here in my playwriting class here at NSU, because it's truly how you can, as a writer, take from life and create fiction based on some truths. But it addresses the loss of a child. It addresses betrayal and adultery, and how secrets are not always kept.
Well, let's watch that. Awesome. Where did you premiere Yellow? I'm just asking this for my own knowledge. Where did you premiere Yellow?
At the Coast Playhouse in West Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, and I just come off of a really hard time with losing the series, losing my house, and there's also that sense of betrayal that's a big theme, and I felt so betrayed by this awful producer. So there was all of that went into it as well.
Then our daughter wondered, does anybody else know? Did God really speak to Timothea, or does she know? Does the town know? Have you told anyone?
No, I didn't tell
Well,
you.
how am I supposed to believe that? Huh? How am I supposed to believe anything, Kate? You were able to lie to me for years, for almost 19 goddamn years. Was there someone in this town who saw it? Who knew? Did Billy tell? Did he brag about banging his best friend's wife? Have I been the laughing stock for 19 years? How long did he stay? Where did he park his car? Was he holding my wife all night, waking up in my bed, drinking my booze? As we all know how Billy loved his booze. That's the reason he died, drinking and driving. Did it ever happen again? Was he better than me in bed? Was his dick bigger? And how the hell do I reconcile, even if I could reconcile his being the fuck? The biological fuck! Not father, not dad, not daddy, and I can't even tell this son of a bitch off. I can't even beat the shit out of him. Sorry, biological fuck can't even save our son.
Stop!
Oh, I thought you wanted this. I thought this would help, huh? To get it out, to show my anger, let you know how my entire being is churning like a goddamn washing machine, when I should be putting every ounce of my energy into saving my son. And do you think I didn't have the opportunity? I was an NFL player before I wrecked my knee. With looks and a body, I had women throwing themselves at me, but I would have never, I could never, because I couldn't bear to hurt you. And I didn't want anybody else. Okay, you got it. You did it. You made me spew, purge, spit it all out, let me know how pissed off, how fucking angry I am at you. And at Billy for dying, and you for living. To tell me, yeah, it's harsh, huh? He probably could have saved my son, but he was a goddamn loser, and he lost his own life because he was careless. Precious life. Drunk. My best friend, who till the day he died couldn't get his shit together. Died owing me 10 grand. Took money from the man whose wife he fucked. What kind of a person was he, Kate? And you, what kind of human being could do what you did?
I was young.
Yeah, and stupid and weak, I heard it. And then I go to that place of Dane wouldn't exist if you hadn't done it, if Billy hadn't. And that's what I focus on, Kate. Because I can't imagine my life without that boy. And yet that is such a possibility now. I don't know how to go on. And yet I have to. For Gracie, for Kendall, for Dane. To save him. Or to honor him if we can't. But I don't feel I have to go on for you, Kate. Not anymore. And I don't want to touch you or hold you, even though I should, because you're hurting too, and now I'm hurting you more. My head says I can't negate those years, those happy years where I loved you so hard, I sometimes hurt. Where I'd wake up at nights watching you sleep feeling so completely content and safe, but not knowing the truth. And I wish, Kate, that Dane had never gotten sick, because I would have rather died never knowing this awful, painful truth. And I would have never stopped loving you.
So do you not love me anymore?
I don't know how not to. And I don't know how to. I need to be done with this conversation. These endless thoughts are toxic. When I need to be putting every ounce of hope and energy and prayer into saving my son. My son.
There was, of course, Sordid Lives was a huge success, a huge hit, and then A Very Sordid Wedding followed that up. So how did that all work out? Tell us about that.
With a lot of effort. It was the hardest picture that Emerson Collins, my producing partner, who also is in the film, playing the serial killer. It was really difficult to get made, but once we got the money, it was just raising the money, because the capital, it was such a big cast, and we made it for, I think we made it for 1.2 million, and it was the biggest budget independently that I'd ever raised. So, we had over and over, financing fell through. I mean, it just kept falling through. So we were supposed to shoot it before, actually we had planned to shoot it before the Supreme Court decision on gay marriage. And what a gift. You always think, oh, this is bad, and financing fell through. But it was such a gift that it fell through, because I was able to go and celebrate what had happened to our community in this small town, and how Winners, Texas responds to when equality comes roaring in. And I had read somewhere on the internet that some stupid church had an anti-equality revival, which I just found hysterical, that they just like, we're for anti-equality. And
Right.
so as I always say, people go, oh, that's over the top. I go, I never write anything that's not truthful. I really, really strive to be truthful. And but as I was celebrating, I think we were talking before we started recording. I really wanted to celebrate that there are people within the churches who are now our advocates, and that's what I did with Latrell and Sissy. I wanted to take them on a journey because of their relationship with Sissy, her nephew Ty, and Latrell, her son, that they stood up to the church, that we didn't march into the church and say, no, you have to accept us, that someone did it on our behalf. And when Sissy deciding to read the entire Bible from start to finish so that she could make sense of this, and then realizing the intense hypocrisy that was going on in her church that she loved and adored. I loved so much, and Del Dickey's portrayal of her, and you know, calling them out for the bacon and all. And but Bonnie Bedelia's performance for me was maybe the most touching I've ever seen in anything that I've done, and that says a lot. But when she says we must stop villainizing our own children, it was just
Yeah.
And of course we had our buddy Levi Christ playing
Absolutely.
the hot homophobic pastor. So
Yeah, and Levi is such a friend of the chorus. He performed for our 2019 National Coming Out Day concert that we had been doing annually until Corona shut that down for us this year. But yeah, Levi is a semi-local based in Oak Ridge, which is right down the road from Knoxville, and it's just done incredible work.
I stayed the day after I was your grand marshal. I stayed an extra day and went up and visited Levi and Jason, spent the night in their home, and I love him so much. We had such similar journeys coming out of the church and being a voice for those who don't have a voice yet. And Levi is so important in my life and important to our community for what he stands for. So I adore him. And so when I you know, I wanted to work with Levi as an actor, and we had never gotten that opportunity. So I wrote the pastor, Jimmy Ray Bruton, for Levi, and when I sent it to him, he goes, "Oh my God, I have to say all this stuff that damaged me for it when I was in those pews." But it was such a pleasure directing him into that, because he was really able to put Levi aside for a second. And as I teach actors, I go, substitute that pastor that you grew up with, that rhetoric that you heard, become him. And it was hard for him to shake it off after we filmed, you know, but just a great performance.
Yeah.
But can I tell you a fun story about Levi? Nobody, you know, we shot that in Winnipeg, and nobody knew that Levi was a singer because it was a non-singing role. And so after we shot everything, and we've got a church full of Canadians and all the cast members, I asked Levi if he would sing Stained Glass Window. And he sat down at the piano in that church, and I think it's on the extra features of the movie. I'm not positive, but it was mind-blowing to see the response of the people realizing that not only is he a good actor, but he does that. He's in, and you know, nobody sings with more passion than Levi Christ.
Oh, I know. And I'm, as a musician myself, he's such an incredible pianist as well. I mean, he can sit down and play for himself and sing for himself. I mean, it's the whole package right there. He's so good. And you said when we were talking earlier, that he wrote Stained Glass Window with some of your help, right? I mean, the words are partially credited to you.
Yeah, he gave me, he generously gave me co-credit on that song, but he took a lot of the words from Southern Baptist Sissies, and there's this, when Benny talks about the stained glass window, and I love that we're all just a part of a beautiful stained glass window, and love is the light that shines through. And so when Benny has that monologue, and Levi was so inspired, we met at Southern Baptist Sissies in Los Angeles. He was sitting in front of me one night and just started sobbing. And after the play, we met, and we became friends, and have been ever since. And that was, that was what, 2001 maybe. So we're going on 20-year friendship.
Yeah. 2001 shouldn't be that long ago. It's just all blurring together.
I know, right? It's just traveling. There's a line in Yellow. It says, we'll die and wonder why we were so stressed, because it went so fast.
Exactly.
Well, Mama, it's been 17 years since you died. My son came out as gay right in front of your coffin. And Mama's ghost is haunting me.
Seems like just yesterday that Peggy tripped over them wooden legs.
And I took one of them legs and I bashed in all the windows on his pickup truck.
I'm putting back together that 15-year tribute for Peggy.
Hey, Mama. You could throw us our wedding.
It's just not exactly the kind of wedding that I always envisioned.
I need you to rescue me.
Well, did you hear that the hitchhiker murderer has escaped the pen?
Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory.
I like crazy.
Hardy's new in town. And who are you, the welcome wagon?
Well, you're just never gonna believe what the church is doing.
They're
Having an anti-equality revival.
Supreme Court's not the law of this land. Word of God's the law of this land.
We want our rainbow back.
No cakes, no flowers, no photos.
Our kind of Christianity frightens me.
Some things in the Bible that just do not make a lick of sense to me.
Well, I live by the Bible, Sissy. I don't need it to make sense.
That doesn't sound right.
You can't swing a cat in this town without hitting a bigot.
Folks who want to tell you how to live your life.
Gays can't get married in the church.
This feels like a trick question.
Gays can't get married in the courthouse.
Hearts and minds are changing.
We have stopped equality.
Anti-equality works both ways.
And we must stop villainizing our own children.
This is where I learned to be gay. Underwood table.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the amateur show here in the Rose Room at S4.
Ain't it a bitch? It's so glad I saw it lies. It's all right, man.
Oh! Get the four out. Okay. I am so confused.
Del, your latest project before the pandemic shut everything down was you were in the middle of a 3-city premiere of This Side of Crazy. What was that show about, and how did the pandemic affect you and the arts and the show and everything else?
Well, like you guys, everything just came to a screeching halt. I've been so fortunate, though, to premiere the show at the New Conservatory Theater in August. I was in rehearsal in August, and actually it was running right now a year ago in San Francisco. And then we had a great run in February, March of 2020 in Los Angeles. But right at the end of that run, just right at the end, all of the COVID news started happening. And it affected our box office a little bit. I mean, we were sold out, but a lot of people didn't show up at those last 2 weeks. I literally, the day we closed, I think on the 7th, I got on a plane on the 8th, was in rehearsal in Dallas on the 9th, and less than 2 weeks later, the city was shut down with all the arts. And as you know, it's been that way ever since. It's affected. I was so excited about 2020. I go, this is my year for theater because I've got This Side of Crazy coming out. The world premiere of A Very Sordid Wedding was going to happen at Uptown Players, and actually was going to also open at the Dark Horse later on in the year in Nashville. And so here we are, you know, waiting to see when we can all step back on stage. But I love the play. And it was, I explored some new territory again with social issues. I really wanted to tell a story. It's very dark, but 3 sisters, a mother. So it addresses depression. It addresses suicide. It also addresses how hard is it to forgive when the crime is so vast. Mm-hmm. And do we fake forgiveness sometimes because of our upbringing? And that was the big the big theme that was explored. How can we get to forgiveness? And I mean, truly get to forgiveness. And it was a great journey. I had such beautiful cast in all 3 cities, so I'm looking forward to returning to that project.
Let me ask you a question. How many love your family? You don't always like Brother Tommy, or Aunt Sally, or even your very own mama.
My expectations of my girls, my children, my daughters have just been stomped and splattered like an armadillo on a country road.
Well, this is not biblical, but I say choose your battles.
Would you like to return thanks?
No.
Well, then I guess communication with our Lord and Savior is all up to me.
There's a city that looks o'er the valley of death.
But you always had this little snort.
You don't make the rules, Mama. She wants to talk. I want to talk. We are going to talk.
There's a city that looks o'er the valley of death.
Well, I think we're all looking forward to getting back on stage sooner rather than later, although who knows what will happen. Don't try and predict anything in 2020. That's my new motto. And
when that happens, can I just kind of be, an adopted member of the Knoxville Gay Men's Chorus? Can I come in and maybe y'all can do Baptist hymn singing?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If there is any advantage to the pandemic shutdown, and we're actually rehearsing, and if you can call it rehearsing, we're meeting online. And one of the wonderful things is we've got some alumni members from all over the country that have joined us, and a few members who were just interested. So yeah, we really have been able to connect with people in a different way. It's not making music or sharing art in the same way, but the connection that we've gained from people all over the country is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that the beautiful thing about anytime there is a crisis is when we all come together. And I feel that too. I feel like there's so much support of each other. And that's, if anything comes out of COVID, other than Leslie Jordan becoming an Instagram star, I think it is that. Yes. I still believe in humanity.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's just, for me, missing the arts and seeing how much people miss the art really proves its value, proves that it's worth more than just something we do on the side. So
absolutely.
But Del, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for allowing us to share your art. I know you've always had so many little crossover connections to Knoxville, and we feel like we're going to adopt a little piece of you. So.
Thank you. I love your city so much. Besides being a beautiful city, I have amazing memories there. And, you have that little theater there that I love that's done so much of my work. And Bonnie, I love her. So we were able, with the Del Shores Foundation, to actually support that theater when we did the big sorted live stream. It was one of the 23 recipients of the money that we raised. So
awesome.
And people gave generously. That's what I love too. That people, we're all having hard times, but we are still supporting the arts to the best that we can.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, and we look forward to your next project and getting to see everything that you're going to do in the future, Del. And we really appreciate you being here with us once again. So.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. This has been so much fun.